What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. And this episode is one I'm really excited to do because we're tackling both a controversial house and a controversial fragrance today. The house is Escentric Molecules and the fragrance is called 01 Escentric. And before we talk about the scent and nature of the controversy, let's talk about the house that is Escentric Molecules. This was a house started by a German perfumer named Gise Schoen. And he's done a huge amount of work, fragrances for Nat Fritz, Diesel, Clive Christian, FCUK, and many other smaller niche houses. But he started Escentric Molecules in 2006 really as a challenge. He wanted to make a deliberately provocative statement on the way that fragrance is made and marketed in modern times. So he wanted to demystify the whole process by creating two fragrances. One was to be a heady synthesis of different ingredients, which is how most people understand the concept of fragrance. And the second would be a homage to a single note, which would be an aroma molecule, which determined the personality of the synthesis. And so that single note for the first two fragrances was going to be based around the ISO-E super molecule, and that's a chemical that many perfumers use in their fragrance to give them a sort of fresh and clean feeling. Mugler Cologne by Thierry Mugler, which is one of my favorite fragrances right now, has a secret note in it. Many people believe that secret note is ISO-E super. So the fragrances that was blended were to be called Escentric 01. That was going to be the blend. And that fragrance was to be a blend of ISO-E super and an unheard of concentration of 65%, blended with notes of pink pepper, lime peel, and orris incense. Then the other fragrance would simply be called Molecule 01. And that would just be super ISO-E and perfumer's alcohol. And since they've released those two fragrances, they've also released two more editions, each focused on a different molecule. And then a concentration of a few different notes around that molecule. And it might not seem like it, but this caused a major controversy in FragCon with good reason. You know, on one side of the fence you have the skeptics, and the skeptics will tell you this is all bunk. You know, you can create Molecule 01 by blending perfumer's alcohol with ISO-E super. I think the Fragrance Brothers actually did that. And a lot of people will also say, you know, you spray these fragrances on and within 20 minutes you can't smell anything. Now, on the other side of the equation are the proponents of these fragrances. You know, there's guys who really like Escentric Molecules. They say they get tons of compliments wearing Escentric Molecules, even if they can't necessarily smell the fragrance. Other people tell them that they can smell them. And I went to Aids de Venustus in the West Village last year, and they really sort of pushed this on me. They told me, you know, maybe layer it with other fragrances, and you'll get much more projection out of the fragrance used in conjunction with the Escentric Molecules fragrance. And I smelled them there, but I wasn't impressed at all. I went to Barney 6 months later. They told me how great these fragrances were. I smelled them there, and again, not impressed. Then I got a sample of Escentric 01, and I decided to wear it one day, and I couldn't smell anything after 20 minutes, but I got 4 compliments about how good I smelled later that day, and that sort of swayed me in a major way. Now, I've been uncomfortable with spending $130 on one of these fragrances, to be honest with you guys, but when I saw that Lucky Scent had new travel sizes of each Escentric Molecule fragrance in stock, I decided that I was going to get one, you know, start with one of them, see where it took me, how I reacted to the scent, how others reacted, and could I indeed layer it, and if it got positive feedback, then I'd go more and go back and get more from the house. And I decided to go with the one that got me the compliments, which is Escentric 01. These come in the 30 ml or 1 ounce boxes. You have 2 options. You can get them in an alloy case for $80 or just a plain box for $60. You know, I went with the plain box. It's really simple. It just says Escentric 01 there. You know, you've got your batch code and information on the back, and really nothing else. Escentric 01. And then it's a very tiny bottle that says Escentric 01. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Escentric 01, Escentric Molecules. There's no cap on this, so you got to deal with it as is. But very, very simple, minimalist presentation. And for $30, you know, I think that's fine. I mean, $60, I think that's fine. The only notes listed on this are ISO-E super, pink pepper, lime, and orris incense. So 65% concentration of Super E ISO, as well as the pink pepper, lime, and orris incense. Very simple composition, and I wore this for 6 days straight. Half of the days I wore it on its own. The other 3 days I layered it. I layered it with Acqua di Cima by Eau d'Italy one day. I layered it with Millesime Imperial the second day by Creed, and then the third day I layered it with Cell Marin by Healy. And here are my real thoughts on this. This is probably the hardest review I've ever done, and it's very difficult for me to be able to put in words about this fragrance because it doesn't smell that interesting at first. It's just really clean, fresh, gives you that out of the shower vibe. If you're a niche lover like me, this could definitely seem boring to you, and you might wonder what's going on. This is a scent that's way more about what other people get off you than what you get off you. And within 10 to 15 minutes, as I said, you might smell nothing, but other people will be able to smell you, and you will get compliments on this fragrance. Now, when I layered it, it worked okay, but I've heard that the molecule scents are really better for layering, and the eccentric ones are better off as actual scents. So I really enjoyed wearing this on its own, and I really like it on its own. And I kind of have dueling thoughts on this. I agree with the haters in that it doesn't smell like anything special. But then on the flip side, I agree with the proponents because I got a ton of compliments wearing this fragrance. One person said to me, what are you wearing? It doesn't smell like the normal sort of cologne you wear. It just smells really good. Now, maybe that's a figment of someone's imagination, but compliments, you can't really deny compliments. And why would you want to deny compliments? I'd like to give you a fair take on projection and longevity on this fragrance, but I can't do that, because it's kind of weird, man. I didn't really, I don't know how well this projected. I don't know how long this lasted on my skin. To me, this is about that ISO Super with pink pepper and lime, and it's a fragrance that you'll want to wear on a nice warm day, and that the heat can sort of help give you a nice scent bubble and some really decent sillage on this. It's also really hard for me to recommend this because I don't know whether you'll like this or not. I suspect most of you will be like me. You'll put this on, you'll be like, what the fuck is this? And then a day or two later, you'll be reaching for it because of the compliments that you've gotten. Now, there's really no excuse in at least not giving this a try at that $60 price point. Eccentric Molecules has opened the door so that really anyone who enjoys fragrance can get on the action. And I'm probably going to buy more of these 30 ml bottles and see where the journey takes me because the results are undeniable. I just wish that I could understand them a bit more. So rating this, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. You're getting a quality, well-made niche scent for $60. Doesn't come with a cap. It's shrouded in controversy, but where this wins with me is that before these smaller sizes came out, you had to shell out the $135, $140 to find out if this stuff works for you, and I wasn't down for that. This I am down for. If you enjoy fragrances and love trying new things and cutting edge fragrance, then you'll want to check out Eccentric Molecules because this is sort of avant-garde perfume that's very different than other avant-garde houses like Etat Libre and Comme des Garçons. This is very sterile and very precise and very interesting. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Anyway, that is this week's episode of Maximilian Must Know. We will be back next week with a couple of episodes, sample shopping, and another fragrance review. Please remember to check out my blog at MaximilianMustKnow.com, and I'll see you guys again.
With the drama, you can meet my llama. Riding with 300 for these bitches see cheese sauce. I swear I got they all now. These bitches love